Today we're going to do some hand manipulated stitches on the knitting machine. And the stitches I'm going to make or attempt to make are a combination between like lace and cables. So a little bit of both. And I am trying this because I want to make some swatches of different patterns that might be cool in my artwork. So, a way that I can make them my portraits like dimensional, or I could incorporate some weaving through where the drop stitches are in the lace or cable pattern, stuff like that. So, I'm sort of thinking about what else I can do with the stitches. So now a little trick that I like to do when I do things like this, different patterns and stuff on the knitting machine, is I have color coded the bed of my knitting machine. So every 10 stitches is a different color. And that way, when I am working from a pattern, I make those corresponding colors on the pattern. And that helps me keep track of where I am. I do the same thing when I work with hand knitting. I use colorful stitch markers and then I put those on the pattern. And I'm just a visual person. Seeing color really helps me keep track of where I am versus numbers. So it's just something that works for me. Now, the unfortunate thing about these stitches is that whenever using that transfer tool, it limits the knitting machine to just people who have access or the ability to use both of their hands. And something that I really love about knitting machines is it makes knitting more accessible to people who may have hand dexterity challenges. So, unfortunately, to make stitches like this, I don't really know how you would do it unless you're using both of your hands. Maybe there might be a way. I don't know. I'll have to try one day and see. So here's my first swatch. I think it looks so cool. I love that it has some solid bands to it, and then it has those cool, like, wavy patterns. I think it looks really awesome. And that's just a way I like to keep track of my samples is I put them in this little, like, mail slot carrier. And I did it with a Polaroid. So I took a Polaroid of the pattern I had written down and then um, of the swatch so that they can be together. I also keep little note cards in there where I write down my knitting machine settings and then I take a Polaroid of the finished product and I staple that together. And then that helps me if I'm like, oh, I want to make, a big, 4 foot glitched portrait. I know exactly what my settings are and what yarn I like to use and everything. I don't have to make a lengthy description. Again, I'm a visual person, so it's helpful to have like a little picture there. The second lace piece I was doing, I only did the straight pattern. I didn't do two repeats like the last one. So it's a lot thinner. I also made good use of my row counter in this process. Definitely necessary when working on these kinds of lace and hand manipulated stitch techniques. Yeah, there's a whole lot of other cool things you can do with hand manipulated stitches. So that's something that I'm looking forward to exploring more. Again, like I said, mostly to use in my artwork to give it some different texture and personality. And there you go. You can see the finished lace piece. I think it's really cute. It has sort of this crisscross effect to it. I think it would make a really pretty scarf. And then adding it to my file.